What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Have some fun stuff to get into today. Keep in mind, we should be seeing Nintendo's earning reports that is due on the 26th in Japan. So I feel like it's at 3 a.m. on the 26th here on the East Coast where I am. So I guess if you're on the West Coast, it's midnight on the 26th, so you will see that come out around then, so keep an eye on that. We'll be talking about that on Newswave, I guess the following day. That's the one problem about Newswave. It comes out in the morning. Something like that is in very early morning when everyone's asleep here in the States. Of course, if you're in Japan, that's pretty much right in the mid-morning that it'll be released, so keep an eye for that. And then also, if you haven't checked it out, just real quick before I get into some of the stuff, I was really impressed with what I saw from Digital Foundry with Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, because it really makes you think about how good Retro Studios is at designing a game around the hardware that they're given. And when you see what the Wii U was doing, and then sure, load time stuff were pretty long, but the way it looked with the art style and direction, and then the frame rates, and they did a whole analysis of that versus the Switch version, which the Switch version is 1080p in dock mode, some weird like 648 or so, it's like 600 something p, which is very weird. It's not 720p handheld, but it's 60 frames and everything. It looks great. It makes me really excited for Retro Studios game, by the way, when that gets shown off and announced, but I think we'll see at E3, and I can't wait to see what they can do when they're given something like the Switch to focus on directly, because we see with the GameCube, they absolutely knocked it out of the park with Metroid Prime, and then they moved on, obviously, to the Wii, did well there, and then we see what they did with the Wii U. So I'm excited for Retro Studios, but I would check that video out from Digital Foundry. They did a good job, and it was a good look at some of the upgrades from Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze from the Wii U to the Switch. But we have a bunch of stuff to talk about today because there was a fix discovered for the Switch bricking issue with the third-party docks, and it means I'm going to try to fix mine, so we're going to go over all of that. Should be fun. MPDs got released, so we can take a look at where everything was, and there were some surprises in there. Seriously, there are a couple games that placed in some spots I didn't think they would, and we had a massive debut in a series franchise that you won't want to miss. So guys, let's get started. So let's start with the Switch bricking fix. That's right. It's been figured out. And remember, if you were following me on Twitter, I was kind of speculating as to which chips could have been the issue, because I had a strong feeling it was a hardware issue for mine in particular. Maybe not everybody, because some people were able to hard reset their system, right? They were able to do a couple different things, get into recovery mode, even leave it on the actual Nintendo charger for so long, and then it came back to life. But mine was not like that at all, and it sounds like other people had the same symptoms that mine had, which is good because that means more people were going to try different things. And this person over on Reddit, you can see this post here. This was posted by Gwen Angel, and they talk about how they used a Fast Snail third-party dock following that 5.0 update, much like mine, except with the Nyko dock. Theirs did the same thing, stuck in a boot loop, won't take a charge. If you have the battery charged, it'll still at least turn on, but be stuck in that boot loop. They got in contact with T-Fix, which is a local company that does like component level repair on motherboards, and they diagnosed that chip that I was kind of speculating about. Is this the issue? The M92T36, that's a power IC, and what it does is it manages power that goes through the charge port, and it lets power go to different parts of the system, and it will also let power go to the battery. So that's kind of why it's probably stuck in a boot loop, because that chip isn't doing its job, and it's certainly not doing its job if the power coming in through the charge port is not being managed correctly to go to the battery. I mentioned some power was getting to the battery, but not all of it. So it was weird, and I was talking about that chip. I even found it online, and I was trying to figure out if I should order or not. I was like, I don't know. I just got another Switch. It's not really a big priority right this second. So I was going to hold off until somebody figured out what the problem was, and they did. So this chip, I found it, it was 20 bucks, so I ordered it because we were going to take a shot at fixing my bricked Switch in a tech wave, and that's going to be pretty fun. Even if it doesn't work, honestly, I've kind of written it off at this point. Xenoblade is the only save file that I really want off there, and I transferred all of my ownership rights, the purchasing rights and everything to this other Switch, so that Switch is pretty much useless other than that save, and I still have no way to get my save off of there technically until they announce some way to cloud save or local really back it up locally. So I'm excited to take a shot at this. I also need to get a new hot air and soldering iron to make it work well, because at my old job where we would do component level repairs, it wouldn't have been a problem. I would order this chip, I would have gone to the location where we did the repairs, we had all this nice equipment, and I would have changed that chip out quick. I've actually changed a couple power IC chips on iPhones, specifically 5S iPhones. I actually changed 4 of them, I think. So I've done it before. It's a very small chip. It's not something you're going to do really at home well, but we'll take a shot here. It'll be fun. We'll kind of MacGyver it and hopefully have a good time and learn some stuff in the video. So keep an eye for that. So I guess if you have a Switch that is bricked and you just want to make sure you at least can bring it back to life to have your save data for when you can move it off, there are places such as T-Fix. Just keep in mind, it's not super cheap. They were quoting $100-something or so in USD, so it's not the cheapest thing, but it is component level repair. It's not easy, I can tell you that now. So the price, if it does bring your save files back, might be worth it to you, and then of course your Switch will just work again. I guess technically that's better than spending $300 for a whole new Switch. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments, because it sounds like those third-party docs either confused or just burned this chip out, just damaged it so where it just cannot distribute power correctly. So let me know what you think about all of this down below. Next up, let's talk about Wolfenstein 2, because it does have a release date now. It's coming out June 29th, so it's right at the end of June. That's a good spot for it, I think, because about a week and a half later, you're going to see Crash Bandicoot come out, the Insane Trilogy, on all systems, including the Switch, right? Ys 8 does come out a little before then, and then, of course, we have Mario Tennis coming out about a week before that, which I'm pretty excited for, actually. I'm actually really excited to play Mario Tennis. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But, of course, Wolfenstein had to come out at some point. I kind of told you guys, it's better if they can get it out in the early part of summer, sometime in June, and they're just getting it out, like right in June. So this is a good release date for it, and I think this is going to give them the best shot they can to sell a bunch of copies, because when we start getting close to the end of summer, when we'll see stuff like Smash Bros. Start to show up, when we see Red Dead, Call of Duty, all these other shooters, I mean, it would get left behind, like it already did. I told you guys, it got left behind before when it came out alongside things like Mario Odyssey and Assassin's Creed, because those games pulled a lot of money from customers or potential customers' wallets. So they had to pick. A lot of people have to pick. They can't buy, $180 worth of games on the same day. A lot of them go, okay, I can buy this $60 game now and I'll get that one later. Well, we'll see, because that game actually has a good chance of selling well on the Switch if enough of the user base buys into it after the disappointing sales from the Xbox One, the PS4 versions that did not sell as well as they would have liked. We also found out about the file size, which is kind of confusing to a lot of us, I think. So the file size that is shown up on the European eShop is 13.7 gigabytes. And this is confusing for a couple reasons. The biggest one being, they should be able to fit that on a 16 gigabyte cartridge, but if you recall, we talked about the box art the other day, and it shows a download needed at the top of the box art on Amazon, which is throwing me off heavily here, because a 16 gigabyte card, the same one they used for Skyrim, the same kind they used for Doom, for the single player of Doom, and then you have to download the multiplayer, should work fine here with Wolfenstein. I'm also surprised, by the way, they got that file size down so much from like over 40 gigabytes on the other systems. I'm thinking more so they're using maybe lower resolution textures and stuff, because I don't think the game operates above 720p. But still, it's weird. That means that either there's some big, like, day one patch that we don't know about yet, it needs that, which basically that's just a download that you need anyway, or maybe they used an 8 gigabyte card. There are a lot of questions here, things I'm not really understanding. Even LA Noire, if you go to the eShop, it would still say 29 gigabytes, and then on the card there was 14 or so. You had to download another 14 gigabytes on the physical version to play past like the first level. So I'm curious how big this download is for Wolfenstein. And if it is just a day one patch, sure, but why would they print on the box that you absolutely need something to that's the terrible looking banner that they put on stuff where you need to download like half the game. So if they put on 8 gigabyte card, I'm just curious why exactly here. That's the one thing I'm curious about, because it doesn't make sense with Doom and Skyrim getting 16 gigabyte cards. Maybe Nintendo helped them out with those two games as like kind of cover some of the cart costs. Maybe they didn't want to do it with Wolfenstein. So it's hard to say, but let me know what you guys think down below, and if this is a deal breaker for Wolfenstein, or maybe you were getting it digitally anyway, so you don't really care about the physical cart needing a download. Next up, let's quickly touch on Guilty Gear for the Nintendo Switch, because Arc System Works did announce a new Guilty Gear, well, an old Guilty Gear that's going to the Switch. It's a new title for the Switch, technically, despite it being back in the arcades, I believe, in 2006, went to the PS2 and everything, went to a couple different systems, and that is, as you're seeing here, Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R. That's an easy title to market, I guess, but it is going to Nintendo Switch sometime in 2018. No actual concrete release date. Just know it is coming sometime this year. If you're a Guilty Gear fan, you can look forward to this. This will include 25 different characters. They'll have slightly reworked for competitive play, so it's better. And they'll have a gallery mode with over 100 illustrations, standard survival mission, versus, and training modes. So they have a bunch of stuff there for Guilty Gear fans. But I know there were some people who are asking why an older Guilty Gear showed up rather than Xrd. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe this one was just easier to port over for now, because maybe they're just hard at work on Dragon Ball FighterZ. I don't know. Dragon Ball FighterZ can run on the Switch, as some people may think it can. It can run on the Switch. Maybe they're just bringing something like that Guilty Gear game over just to kind of bridge the gap until they're ready to announce that. But that, of course, that's all speculation. This Guilty Gear game is coming just sometime in 2018. Next up, let's talk about, I guess, a surprising collaboration here between Xbox and Discord. Yeah, you're going to be able to link your accounts together, so you can link your Discord account with your Xbox Live account. And what that's going to do is allow people in your Discord server to see what you're playing on your Xbox. So maybe you're playing Halo 5. Well, if they're on your Discord server, they can kind of look over and see, oh, they're playing Halo 5. I'll jump into that game, which you can do. And then you can join up, obviously, and talk to them if you want on Discord. I was a little surprised to see this, because I know Microsoft obviously owns Skype and everything, and I don't think they're trying to buy Discord or anything. I mean, it's definitely handy to have, obviously, as a lot of people, a lot of gamers have moved to Discord now, because it's easy to manage and you can have your own little VoIP kind of room to talk to everyone with, and it's free, and it's just easy to manage overall. So a lot of people are using it. I kind of get why Microsoft would at least make the collaboration or the partnership, because Sony, I guess, hasn't. So they can have just one more thing to be like, oh, look, this extra feature. It's just nice. So there you go. If you want to link your Discord account to your Xbox Live account, you'll be able to do that. And then you can just, I guess, keep an eye on everybody in Discord and see what everyone's playing. So you can jump into any one game if you just happen to log on and see them playing, like I said, Halo 5. Also, to clarify, so far, there's no communication between them. Like, you can't be on Xbox Live on your Xbox, use Discord, and then, I guess, talk to people on Discord. It just seems to be a way for visibility to make it easy to see what everyone's kind of doing. And our last bit of news, let's talk about the NPDs for March. There were some surprising rankings here. We're going to take a look at the top 10 games first off, starting with, of course, Far Cry 5, as I think most of us would expect. It's apparently the best debuting Far Cry game in the entire series. The one behind it in terms of earnings would have been Far Cry 3. Far Cry 5 is now the #1 game in the Far Cry franchise for its debut. As we would expect, Far Cry 5 was good. A lot of people liked it, a lot of controversy around it, but a lot of people bought it. Number 2 is the one that I think has people kind of scratching their heads a little surprised here. Sea of Thieves at number 2 at retail. This is impressive, because Sea of Thieves, of course, has Game Pass. This does not count Game Pass anywhere I've seen. This is all for sales, either over the counter or even digitally, as they say. They seem to count digital sales here. So number 2 is great for Sea of Thieves. This is actually, according to them, Rare's biggest opening ever since they've tracked the NPDs, and that is impressive. MLB The Show 18 there at number 3. Kirby Star Allies, which we're going to come back to, because that was a massive accomplishment here for Kirby, by the way, at number 4. Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 5. Call of Duty WW2 at 6. Mario Kart at 7. Ni no Kuni 2 debuting at number 8. That's not bad, by the way, for a niche JRPG style game like that. NBA 2K18 at 9. And then Monster Hunter World's actually toppled all the way down to number 10. Now, as for Kirby, it massively outsold its previous, I guess, highest seller in its debut month, which was the 2002 version of Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, by 90% in revenue. So this game did really well in the NPDs. We see it do well in Japan, right, Kirby? But here, it did exceptionally well. I mean, it's at number 4 on the charts, with Far Cry 5, of course, above it, because it has a larger install base to sell to. Again, as we would expect. And Sea of Thieves also above it with Windows 10 and Xbox. Again, larger install bases, but Kirby did well. Man, that is very impressive. Honestly, I'm really surprised that it did this well, but that is great to see. It did well in Japan, doing well here in the US. So, I mean, good job, Kirby team. Also, for those wondering which system did the best and everything, it appears that the PlayStation 4 sold the most systems overall if you take all the SKUs, but if you break it down to individual SKUs, like, PS4 Slim, even different colored controllers and stuff that come with them, the Switch Neon bundle with the Neon Joy-Cons actually sold the most in terms of individual SKUs, but as for families of systems, the PS4 took the top at March. Makes sense, as we would expect. Far Cry 5, other games that came out on all systems, obviously pushed those sales up, but it looks like gaming overall did okay, but everything seemed to be down minus accessory sales. So, hey, there you go. It wasn't the best month compared to last month. However, keep in mind, last month is when the Switch last year in March was when the Switch debuted, and it's going to be really hard to really top that with what's going on now. I understand, Zelda was flying off the shelves. Remember, they had over a 1. Seriously, it had over 100% attach rate, and the Switch was flying off the shelves, obviously, in its debut month. So not surprising there as much, but we'll see what happens, I guess, throughout April as we go forward. And still, congratulations to Sony for winning the hardware, Kirby for having a massive debut, and honestly, Sea of Thieves for, I think, surprising everyone. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's the MPD, maybe you want to talk about how everything did, maybe you want to talk a bit about Wolfenstein 2, or maybe you want to talk about how the Switch that's bricked can now be fixed. I'm excited to try it out, and we'll be doing so in the coming weeks. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.